Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. So in today's video, I forgot to film an intro at first, which is why you'll see me in two different outfits, but I'm going to be doing like a little garden update and tour for, today is June 1st, so for the beginning almost here of summer. It's kind of summer here already because schools are already out most places, I think, in Tennessee, so it's already basically summer here. And I'm just going to show you guys some updates and we'll get some work done in the garden today. Also, I'm sharing some clips from back in the fall of our old shed before that got torn down and some of the cool antiques I was able to pull out of there. So if you're interested in some of those kind of cool antiques that I show, then stick around. I wasn't able to make a video with that at the time. One, because you'll see, and if you were here at that time, I was in a boot, and then right after I got out of the boot, I had a hospitalization and was sick for a while. I'm doing much better now, but all yard plants, which when you see some of this stuff, you might be like, oh my gosh, how has Annalisa not gotten that done already? I was very sick for a while and could not be out here pulling and lifting and doing all of that sort of stuff. So not trying to make excuses, but you know, I lost a lot of the fall time that we would have normally been doing some work. So let's get started. Hey y'all, so if you watched my spring video earlier where I was showing you all of my plantings and what I'm working on in the yard, I wanted to give you guys a little update on some of those projects and show you what I am currently working on. So first, you guys wouldn't have seen this in the last video, but we have totally done all of this rock around here. I'll try to move slowly so you don't get sick, but all of this rock we put in around here. There is nothing planted here right now. This summer we're mostly focusing on getting things like cleaned out rather than planting new things, just to get like flower beds established in the areas that they need to be in. But we've got some what we think are going to be irises right in and around here, but we did all of this rock edging ourselves. So we live in East Tennessee, and the song Rocky Top describes our backyard very much so, if you can see all those rocks back there. Also put my hammock up, even though it's currently flipped upside down, and we secured it with these rocks. So all the rocks you see are just rocks from our house because we have rocks everywhere. So this project is officially done, other than we're going to eventually plant some things in here, but all of these irises were already here except for this little area on the end. We transplanted some of those. Now this area, if you can remember, I had to transplant all of these by hand because they were out here just in the grass. They were going to get killed by the lawnmower, so I transplanted every single one of these. There's some weeding that needs to be done. Y'all, this yard tour is not going to be perfect. I have a lot of work to do here. So there's an empty spot over here, and all of those have done really well since we've transplanted them. We also added this small hosta bed of all these hostas right here, all from my parents' house, and these bricks are also from our property and is what we decided to line this area with, and I'm really liking it. So some of the hostas are a little bit bigger than others, but they're all doing pretty well, and we'll probably do a different flower in the middle, but once again, we're just taking our time with everything here. So this is going to be our next big project. As you can see through here, this was all green, and we had to rip everything out except for these front plants, which I'll give you a little overview here, are tomatoes and peppers. A nursery near us had a $1 sale. There is a squash plant, but that's from my parents also. They had a $1 sale because they had too many plants. But what we're working on now is doing another rock edging through the front of here. So here's what I've gotten done so far, so not much. We're just finding rocks all throughout our yard for this project. Now this, you'll remember seeing me water all of these, which, y'all, this is the worst section for weeds right over here. So no judgment. We've got a lot of work to do on this yard since it was ignored for so many years, but our garlic plants have been doing super awesome. So if you remember, I just planted the little garlic bulbs like you get from the grocery store, and so far they're doing quite well. Now granted, we are very blessed to have very good soil because for all the years that the garden was unattended, leaves just laid over it and decomposed, so we got really kick butt soil for that reason. Another update that you'll remember me probably watering when these were teeny tiny is our rock cropping little garden of daisies. These suckers are just thriving. They're doing so well. Oh, you can see some little bugs flying around, and I'm just loving this. They're doing so well. I'm looking forward to cutting some more and putting them in a little thing here. And now if you look down this way, we used to have a shed over here and a old well house. We now have a generator down there. Instead, they told us we had to take down the shed because it was unsafe, which I actually have some video footage of that from back in September that I never put in a video, which I may insert here. And the well house was, I mean, not usable, and some of the concrete was not super stable, so we decided to take that down too. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Annalisa and this is Homemade Sunshine. As some of you guys know, we have purchased our first house this August. Is right before October, so we've been in here a little over a month, and I wanted to show you some of what's going on here around the house. And we found a bunch of really cool antiques in a shed in our on this, I don't want to say on our property because we don't own like a whole lot of the property, but on the shed behind our house. So we've had to start going through it because we are going to have to tear it down according to our what do you call it, your homeowner's insurance. They said we have to tear it down because it's not safe, which granted it's not safe. So, but it was full of stuff. I wish I had filmed it before of like everything that was in there, but we have been like, we pulled a bunch of old wood out of there we've been burning, and then now we've been working on glass. So I have some really interesting stuff to show you guys, and let's get started. So here is the old shed in question. We have not pulled anything out of here yet underneath of there, but there are 2 bags full over here of old glass jars, most of which are from like the grocery store. And yeah, they're just mostly old stuff from the grocery store back when people used to sell everything in glass. But I did save some of these old like blue ball jars and some of the jars I thought were like had cooler patterns on them that I'm gonna fix up, you know, wash up, clean up. One whole bag is just bottles of old alcohol and liquor, which is kind of funny. But you know, we don't drink alcohol, so I didn't really want to save any of those. But let me show you another cool detail on this shed. First off, this is what that crawl space looks like. We're probably not going to tackle that until we remove all of this wood from around here. Also because I'm scared of snakes. But if you can read that, it says a 4-H club member lives here. I have no idea when they stopped putting those signs up, but isn't it just super duper cool to see that? And now here's the shed itself. Excuse the lighting, but we are outdoors. So this is a project that I'm going to be working on. Look at this old washboard here. I think it is just so cool. I don't know if it was actually ever used. I mean, I'm assuming it was, because why else would it be in this shed considering how old everything else is in this shed? And this side looks like it's been used a lot more. A lot of the yard tools in here are actually ours, but they are also vintage. They were my grandfather's, in my grandfather's family, so. There's all these jars. There's an old Miracle Whip jar. My husband did put these to the side for me. I've not been coming in here as much to clear stuff out because of that boot, but look at some of these beautiful blue jars, like old blue ball glass jars. I just think they're so beautiful. I don't even know what I'm gonna do with them all, but also look at this old license plate. I think it's funny they just discarded it in here. But this home was built in, I believe, the 30s. Latch that up tight. And let me show you guys our cows. They're having their evening, I don't know, wander about. Nobody's taking a bath because it's not that hot, but they're just out here chilling. So this actually might be just like almost like a mini series of like random stuff that we find in our yard, because we've been finding all sorts of crazy stuff. Old tires mostly just trash, but there has been some like interesting stuff. There was like a glass jar at one point that we have already thrown out of Dippity Doo-Dah, which apparently was popular in the 1960s as a hair cream, like a hair gel, I mean. So I thought that was funny that there has been an empty bottle of that in this shed since probably sometime in the 60s or 70s at that point. So yeah, it's been fun, honestly, trying to find all these like random old stuff, but it is kind of hard to decide like what you should keep versus toss. Most of it's been toss. There were some old chairs in there at one point that were like, I mean, literally falling to pieces. But this house was around when people, you know, had to save everything because they couldn't necessarily find what they needed. So I will keep you guys updated on what's going on with this place and just keep you posted. Bye. So I am just gathering rocks from all around the yard. The yard, like I said earlier, we have rocks everywhere. This is truly what I would call Rocky Top, Tennessee, because our yard is filled with rocks, which has been very useful and very cost effective for making beautiful flower beds. So I'm really trying to get a good edge along this line that we've already gotten the majority of these weeds out of, because then it gives my husband a very clear place to weed eat. And eventually we'll have more plants in here, but like I said before, this year is more of like trying to get things cleared out and get garden spots well established so that they can be more easily, will be ready for next year, basically. But I do have tomatoes and peppers growing. My starts that you guys probably saw me do earlier this spring from some little Lowe's kits for growing basil and mint are not doing so hot. I'm so thankful that they were only $1/4 each, because if they had been, I think it was like $12 originally, I'd have been pretty upset because they're up a tiny bit, but we were joking between my mom and I that by the time that they mature, it'll be October already and the growing season for them will be completely over. So we'll see if they miraculously make a turnaround, but I'm not sure yet. Hey y'all, so I'm sitting on the hammock here to give you an update. It's still the same day. I am in different clothes, but we had a little snafu this morning. In the clips that you see where I am placing the rock down, I had to abruptly stop because, learn from my mistake. I put a rock on my shoulder, and because I was wearing my button-down shirt, I mean, it wasn't like buttoned all the way up to the neck, so it was a little open. Some ants fell down my shirt and bit me a lot. And it hurt super bad, so I had to like run inside. I wasn't sure, and like try to figure out what was biting me. And yeah, so I know I didn't think it was going to be such an action-packed filled gardening update and garden work video for you guys. So I am going to do a little bit more work here for a little bit, but I am dressed, you know, I'm wearing a dress. I'm dressed a little bit nicer than I was before because I went and ran some errands and took just a break for a fat minute from being out here, since yeah, that was pretty scary. I was afraid. I wasn't sure what I'd gotten into, and plus I've been pulling weeds as I've gone along, so I didn't want to like get poison ivy, what is that stuff called? Not poison ivy, like sap or whatever, the oil, that's the word, poison ivy oil on the rest of my bare skin. So yeah, that's what our crazy pants time has been today. So I'm gonna try to lay a few more rocks, not putting them on my shoulder, holding them out from me so I don't get ants, hopefully, down my shirt. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this project today, but I was making really good headway, so I will film a little update and show you how much I've gotten done so far. Okay, so here is the start of it over here, right in front of my peppers. And I didn't say, I don't think earlier, so I've gotten the peppers and the tomatoes, I promise I don't say tomatoes that weird, for $1 because they had grown too many tomato and pepper starts. So I got those, and so if you're trying to do gardening on the cheap, follow your local greenhouses and stuff like that, because you never know, they might grow too much and need to have a sale. So I've actually realizing I forgot to place that rock. So we've gotten all the way down to right over here. So I'm pretty close to the end over here. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to end it. I think right down here there's a big rock where I'm going to end it at. And also I'll just show you over here really quick my husband's little plant corner. So pretty sure these are it, which these have gotten huge. I actually haven't come to check on these in a little bit. He is growing wine berries from starts from my dad. His friend has a big amount of farmland, and wine berries are super invasive and they'll just keep growing. So they didn't mind to give us some wine berry starts. My husband loves wine berries. If you've never had them, they're like a raspberry, as he would say, but better. But they are very similar to a raspberry plant. So that is the other thing that we've got going on right over here in front of our other little rock pile. So most of the time you'll find me doing yard work in long jeans and long denim shirts, because I am one of those people who is super allergic to poison ivy, poison oak, all of that sort of thing. So if you're a gardener who is not allergic to that, that's fantastic. I envy you because I wish that was the case. Even though it feels so much more pretty and elegant to be gardening in a dress, that is not my usual. But I always do garden in a hat, whether it's a baseball hat or a wide brim hat, to keep the sun off of my face and out of my eyes, because, you know, I'm not trying to get a whole bunch of sun damage being as fair-skinned as I am. So this is our first year to have this big, huge yard to cultivate and figure out what we want to do with. It's very exciting. This is the first summer in a long time that we have not moved. So I'm happy to be in place for the summer and get ready to tackle this yard. So y'all, that is going to be it for this week's video. It has gotten way too hot outside to be doing this, and I don't want to try to make myself sick or get a migraine, which I tend to get migraines when I get overheated. So that is going to be it for this week's video. If you enjoy these kind of like gardening vlogs, tours, then give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing, because there is a lot of work to be done to this yard. And leave me a comment down below your home that you live in, whether, you know, you're renting or you've purchased, which this doesn't apply if you're living in an apartment because you wouldn't have a yard. But did you buy a house that had like really good landscaping, or did you have to start from scratch? Because some people in new builds have to kind of start from scratch because they ripped everything out. Or are you in my situation where there was an established garden but it has gotten out of hand? So I will see you guys next time. Bye.